It feels like it's been a long time since we've been able to have a public lecture in this auditorium. And so I want to greet you all. My name is David Bushart. I'm president here at Anabaptist Mennonite Biblical Seminary. And it is so exciting to host you all for this special evening as we celebrate the public launch of a $12 million Forming Leaders Together campaign, and also celebrate the promotion of one of our own, Dr. Jamie Pitts, to full professor status with a public lecture here in the Chapel of the Sermon on the Mount. Joe Sawatsky, Andio Santoso, and I just returned from India last week. The Mennonite Church Conferences of India invited AMBS through Mennonite Mission Network to offer a 3-day training for trainers who were sent by the 5 Mennonite conferences, each of which sent 2 men, 2 women, and at least 1 youth to be trained to offer teaching materials to their conferences on leadership. We brought lesson plans for 9 units to test with these leaders. In the days following the workshop, I revised and reframed the materials based on feedback from the workshop in order for the materials to become more relevant contextually for those churches. It will be interesting in a year to check back in with these leaders to see how they further adapted those materials and added local material from their context. It will provide an opportunity for us to learn how Mennonites in India understand Anabaptist leadership in particular ways. This is just one example of how we are offering theological education and leadership education to students in many places around the world, including Ethiopia, Korea, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, James Craybill, newly returned from there, and 14 other countries. It is an amazing time to be collaborating with the global community in strengthening the Anabaptist identity of leaders and congregations. The Forming Leaders Together campaign is drawing AMBS and other expressions of the church together in unprecedented collaborations. The first part of this campaign will support the 3 years of our Leadership Education Fund, our annual fund, that supports our strong non-graduate master's and now Doctor of Ministry program while we are in the campaign. The second part will provide $300,000 per year for 10 years for our local leadership renewal initiative, focusing on practical leadership skills for church leaders. And the third part of our campaign will provide $300,000 a year for 10 years for our Global Leadership Collaborative. Thanks to the strong contributions of many people, including some in this room tonight, we have reached 80% of our goal, and tonight we are celebrating the public phase of the final year of this campaign, hoping to reach our goal of $12 million by June 30, 2024. With the public phase of this campaign, we are now inviting everyone to be a part of this important work. Whether your primary connection is to AMBS, Mennonite Mission Network, Hispanic Ministries of Mennonite Education Agency, Mennonite Church Canada and International Witness, or Mennonite World Conference, with gratitude to God for the opportunity we have to serve the church, we celebrate these collaborative relationships, working together to form leaders around the world, here and around the world. With thanks to God, I invite you to pray with me our AMBS prayer. Trustworthy God, you have called AMBS into being, sustained us through the years, and prepared a future for us. By your Spirit's transforming power, reshape us as a learning community, welcoming Christians of all tribes, tongues, peoples, and nations to engage in Anabaptist theological education so that we may more fully reflect your purpose to reconcile all things in Christ. Amen. Let us sing our gratitude for God's steadfast faithfulness. Janine, will you lead us?
There is no shadow of turning. to share a little bit about new programs that are already in motion because so many of our donors have said yes. Jewel and I will each share briefly about a few of these. When I joined the AMBS administration in 2018, conversations were well underway about how AMBS could best learn from and be a resource to our partners in the global church. I remember a Zoom meeting that President Emerita Sarah Wenger-Schenck facilitated with several denominational partners. In this meeting, Robert Sunerman, who is here tonight, and others offered insight and wisdom born from decades of experience working within and for the global church. My own understanding of what was possible began to take shape. That year, we sensed growing interest in North America for Anabaptist studies and discerned that it was time for AMBS to offer a focused course of study in this area, with two commitments: that it be a curriculum taught from a global perspective, and that it be accessible to people who could not come to campus. Out of this, the MA in Theology and Global Anabaptism, known around here as MATGA, was developed. It is available as a fully online degree, and via two major partnerships, we have developed unique cohort approaches to this degree, one with Meserete Christos Seminary in Ethiopia, and another with the Nehemiah Institute for Christian Studies in South Korea. This past summer, I was able to travel to both Ethiopia and South Korea to meet our partners and students there. In Ethiopia, where a fifth cohort of students has just begun, I heard deep appreciation for access to a program that deepens theological and biblical knowledge, that helps students grow in their ministry skills, and that creates space to wrestle together with big questions. In South Korea, I met 8 new amazing students who are convinced that the countercultural teachings of the Anabaptist tradition and its peace theology are needed in their context. Finally, I want to make note of our recent launch of the Spanish language graduate certificate in theology, offered in partnership with Hispanic Ministries of Mennonite Education Agency. We are thrilled that 10 students have recently begun this new program, which is designed to equip professionals, congregational leaders, and bivocational pastors with a foundation in theological and biblical study. Access to these 3 major graduate programs within our global education outreach and the financial support for students embedded within these programs, these things are possible because of the Forming Leaders Together campaign. We are humbled, grateful, and committed to carrying out the vision that has been unfolding for many years and that is now moving forward with great momentum.
Along with these exciting global initiatives, we've also been listening for the church's direction regarding leadership education needs here in the U.S. and in Canada. In response to what we have heard through the local leadership renewal initiative of this campaign, we've been able to launch a new practical leadership training program and a new Doctor of Ministry in Leadership program, as well as beginning to financially sustain our Thriving in Ministry program and Journey program. The Practical Leadership Training Program helps leaders to develop skills in administration, in leadership, well-being, and community engagement. We use workshops, webinars, short courses, and other module formats offered in person and online. I invite you to take a look at our display in the foyer for more details on what kinds of topics we cover in the Practical Leadership Training Program. The Doctor of Ministry and Leadership is an advanced professional degree that's designed for experienced ministry leaders to increase their leadership capacity, their adaptability, and their resilience. It draws on the rich, practical ministry experiences that leaders have already gained from years of leadership and ministry, as well as on the biblical and theological and professional foundations that they gained in the MDiv degree. The Transition to Leadership program, which is part of our Thriving in Ministry effort, is for new pastors and is designed to ensure their thriving in the formative early years of ministry. It has been in the pilot phase for the past 4 years and has helped pastors to feel supported and guided as they enter ministry, has decreased their sense of isolation and uncertainty, and has helped them to decide to stay in ministry, even in the midst of many challenges. Similarly, we've been piloting our Ministry Integrity Circles program. These are designed to promote resilience and thriving for experienced pastors. They have given pastors a place to process the challenges that they're facing in the midst of so much transition and rapid change in our time. And it's allowed them to experience support from peers and wise guidance from seminary faculty and staff. The 3-year Journey Missional Leadership Development Program deepens theological and biblical understanding and helps to develop ministry skills and character for leaders with or without formal education. Students come from many locations across the US and Canada, and now also from Uganda, the Philippines, Thailand, and other settings in Southeast Asia. All of these programs serve the church and will benefit from a solid funding base that, together with fees for service, will put these programs on a path to long-term financial sustainability. Campaign funds will allow these programs to be offered at rates that are accessible to ministry leaders and to congregations, while simultaneously ensuring financial sustainability over a period of 10 years. AMBS has been asked by Mennonite Church USA and Mennonite Church Canada, who are member churches of Mennonite World Conference, to respond to the local and global need to strengthen our leaders in Anabaptist theology and leadership. We are pleased to have with us tonight Cesar Garcia, General Secretary of Mennonite World Conference, and Doug Clausen, Executive Minister of Mennonite Church Canada. They will come now to share briefly about how the Forming Leaders Together campaign is already making an impact in their context.
Good evening. My name is Cesar Garcia, General Secretary of Mennonite World Conference. As some of you may know, Mennonite World Conference embarked in a big project several years ago of writing the history of our Anabaptist churches in each continent. So for several years, there were local writers doing research and writing about the history of our churches in each of our 5 continents. After they finished, and we now have these 5 books, some of us actually read those books, right? And then we discovered that there was one thing that was common to all of them. One idea that was repeated in each one of these 5 books. We need an Anabaptist identity. Our churches in each continent said we are lacking an Anabaptist identity. And of course, the question is why? What has happened during so many years where many of our institutions that work on theological training have been doing that, helping people to get theological education? Why churches in Europe, North America, Latin America, Asia, and Africa are saying we need an Anabaptist identity? I want to offer a possible answer by telling you something that happened to me some years ago. When I was moving to Canada, I am originally from Colombia, South America. We were in the process of packing, and a very important thing to take with us was a nativity scene. As you know, for Colombians, when Christmas is coming, the idea of having a nativity scene is very important. But in the Colombian culture, the custom is that we don't place the body of the baby Jesus, we don't place it on the manger until December 25. On December 25, then we place the body of baby Jesus because baby Jesus has been born. So for several weeks of December, you see the nativity scene without the body of baby Jesus. So we packed that nativity scene and we took it with us to Canada. And when months later we were getting ready for Christmas, we unpacked the nativity scene, and then we realized, oh no, we have lost the body of baby Jesus. So there is this nativity scene without the body of baby Jesus. I would say that that is an answer to why in many places we are losing Anabaptist identity. Because even though there are many, somebody will say maybe too many, theological Anabaptist institutions, many of them have lost the centrality of the body of Jesus. Therefore, the nativity scene is beautiful, but they are not working in a close connection to the church. So, Anabaptist Mennonite Biblical Seminary has decided to hear, to listen to the church, and to be sensitive to the needs of our global church, and to respond to them, as we have heard today as one expression of the Church of US and Canada. And that is impacting in a very amazing way our theological identity in the world. And for that we are in Mennonite World Conference immensely grateful. What we perceive during the coming years is enormous potential to keep shaping the body of Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here, honor to have been invited. I began my role in Mennonite Church Canada in June of 2019, and very soon after got involved in the consulting that was going on with the congregations and asking what the seminary could do for the churches and with the churches. It was an honor to be asked and to then respond. And about a year later, I received an invitation from Paula to be part of the Capital Campaign Advisory Committee. And I answered within a day that I would be willing, and in fact very willing, but I will admit that I was nervous when I said yes. And I felt nervous because in some ways I was feeling at that moment, just a short time into my role, that I was a bit like the widow at Zarephath, who was by the town gate gathering sticks, knowing the grim reality that was laying ahead for us in what I had seen in my first year in the role. And there were times over the course of that year even where tears had come to my eyes thinking, I don't know how to solve this problem. Though I was very pleasant in my response to Paula, I did feel like a bit like it was Elijah coming and showing up and imposing himself upon what were very limited resources and a bit of a beleaguered constituency. Little did I know what God's plan was through all of this. Our experience in Mennonite Church Canada has since been one of the flour and the oil not running out, despite all that has been happening in this campaign. There is an element of mystery to this, of course, but it has also been engineered to a degree by a campaign strategy that seeks to make sure there is enough resources in the jars to last a little bit longer, and a little bit longer, and a little bit longer. And what started as a worry about this being like the widow at Zarephath story has been transitioning for us into a Psalm 23 story, where there has been a table prepared and there is enough oil even to anoint our heads and our cups are running over. Ask any of our international witness workers, as Cesar has said, or partners who are connecting to AMBS via the Journey program or what is happening in Ethiopia or South Korea, and this is what you will hear. Cups are running over. So from the bottom of our hearts, the congregations, the regional churches, Mennonite Church Canada, thank you and bless you for first identifying yourselves with the church. Second, for not criticizing us for collecting sticks when we were losing hope. And third, approaching us with this opportunity to participate with what God was doing in the world and calling us to be part of it with you. Thank you, and God bless you.